This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and does not substitute for professional medical advice. Please seek a medical professional or healthcare provider if you're seeking any medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Thanks, everyone.
Welcome back.
Welcome.
All right. So for this episode, we're going to touch on something that's been a little bit on the news these days, at least down here in South Florida.
It's actually been, it's very almost alarming.
Yeah. Because I haven't heard of this in a while now.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
You know, the last time I heard about, we're going to be talking about mosquito borne illnesses.
Yeah.
I mean, diseases or whatever.
Yeah, mosquito borne illnesses, diseases.
Yeah. So the last time I feel that we had like that big scare of like West Nile and all that happening was several years ago. Like, not that recent. And now it's like, again.
And now it's back. Yep. And then we always have like some sort of new disease come in, which we're going to talk about. Zika was a huge new one. Chikungunya was a big one.
I had it.
I know. Julie's going to tell us about her experience with it.
God.
And now when we like study mosquito-borne illnesses, because it's so much to cover.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy, but you know, now we have a health advisory of malaria.
I know. It's malaria and West Nile. Yep. It's the two health advisories from the CDC that we got to look out for, at least over here in
Florida, especially since we have so many mosquitoes.
Yeah.
But I think it's so crazy how, and I'm just talking out of my ass right now, but it's so crazy how the pandemic, how it affected so many things. And it's, when you don't think about it, sometimes you're like, why are we seeing like malaria like here? Malaria is something that it's like people would typically ask you, like, did you travel outside of the U.S., maybe to Africa, something like that. And now it's, you know, it's the thing. So many people stopped traveling from the pandemic, and now everyone wants to travel again. They're like making up for old time's sake. And then now there's so much international travel that we're seeing these diseases out of nowhere in places that they weren't before.
A big comeback in them,
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like a big change from like when COVID hit in 2020 to like now. It's like, well, but that's exactly why it happened before, and we hadn't seen it in a few years.
Yeah. Sometimes I still can't believe that we lived a pandemic.
Yeah.
And I know that, you know, in history, pandemics were associated. I mean, I'm not going to say there was a lot of deaths with COVID, and please, for the love of God, like, I'm not here to have this conversation about whether COVID was fake or real.
Not talking about that.
I'm not talking. I'm saying the pandemic, whatever you want to believe it.
Yeah.
The pandemic really effed up a lot of things.
Yeah. It changed a lot of things.
It changed the way people live. It changed the way that people travel and eat and do all these things.
Absolutely.
And there was a lot of deaths, whether you want to believe COVID existed or not, whatever it is. Point is, there was a lot of reported deaths. And it's just crazy to me because we lived through a pretty crazy part of history.
Well, nobody in the recent past, nobody had lived through a pandemic like that.
Exactly, because they didn't have the medicine and stuff like that. And even then, there was like so many deaths.
I know. The last time that there was like such a big pandemic, at least reported, like was like, and you know, affected so many people was like, I think the Spanish influenza or whatnot. You know,
H1N1 was huge too.
But it didn't catastrophically like stop the world from almost turning, you know?
No. This was definitely what we would consider a pandemic that affected everyone, that people were globally scared, the media, like everyone got involved.
It was a lot. So yeah, that it did. And when we're talking about that again, it's because that did such a big drastic change, and then it's created all these domino effects. And now years later, we're still looking at the domino effects.
Yeah.
And this looks like it's one of them. Yeah. Like we had stopped this, like we hadn't heard of so many mosquito-borne illnesses, like just pop out like with these okay, so they're not pandemics, but they're like what, like endemics?
Yeah, no, they're endemics and stuff like, well, okay, so endemic is basically a disease that endemic to somewhere, so it's very common in a place. So it could be like, I don't know, for example, like tuberculosis, usually endemic to third world countries because of whatever. There's a million things that I can say about that. But just to make it short, it's like, so whatever is more common in that region, place, so that's what we consider an endemic.
Okay.
So before COVID was considered to be endemic to China. Yeah. Right? And then it became a pandemic where it was no longer just in China, it was in other places.
Okay. All right. So then, yeah, that's what we're seeing here. So these
mosquitoes, so like malaria and stuff like that, it's usually endemic to regions across Africa, right? And then now it's like we're seeing it in other places. So that's why we find it weird, because it's really not endemic to us.
Yeah, exactly. So that we're going to touch up on like the most common ones, at least just the more common ones, because there's so many of them that we could do like several part series on this, and we've tried to condense it into one episode for you all.
And if you guys want an episode specifically about one of these,
let us know.
Just let us know.
So we're gonna just touch up on the highlights, on each of these like more common ones. And go from there. So
I hate mosquitoes.
Me too,
by the way. If there are two things in this world, insect wise, okay, that I hate, is roaches and mosquitoes. They can burn forever. I can truly fight someone on the reasons why they don't need to exist.
For me, it's spiders, but I hate mosquitoes. Like, they're such a freaking nuisance. Like, it's just, I hate everything about them. I hate everything about them.
Yeah, me too.
Just, they're gross.
I think I got traumatized because when I was younger, I've mentioned my friend Monica on this podcast before. But, Monica's parents used to take us out on their boat and stuff. And we used to go to Boca Chica, which is, like this little island where you can grill and stuff like that.
Right.
And it was infested with mosquitoes.
Mostly when it's like dawn or dusk.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the two worst times.
Yep. So Monica and I went exploring, being kids.
Yeah.
And then I came back and I was just literally head to toe covered.
Yeah.
And since then, I've had some PTSD.
Really?
With mosquitoes that I hate them.
Oh,
I hate them. I see them and I get angry.
Yeah.
They ruin my day. Sounds stupid.
No, but I
fucking hate them.
I hate them too. Like, me and my kiddo, we suffer from like big welts from them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you guys like have
we get the reactions.
I get them too, but only to certain types. It doesn't happen all the time to me. But sometimes, man, dude, I will have like, it looks like cellulitis, like a skin infection.
That's it. And for my kiddo, oh my god, like he's gotten a little, like they're getting a little better now whenever he gets bit by them. But when he was a baby, and like, dude, we avoided it big time. But he's like me, like they seek us out.
Yeah,
they really seek us out. Like as soon as I step a foot out, and it's especially in sunset. Done. Like, I'm getting at least one, no matter what repellent I wear, I'm getting it, you know? And unfortunately, my kiddo's the same freaking way. And when he was a baby, no matter like all the things that we would put on him, at least one bite. And back then, oh my God, Eve, like it would get like even bubbly. Like he would like even the, like, what do you,
like a blister.
Exactly. It would turn like a blister. It was so bad, pobrecito, but like, yeah, so there are people like me that get the big welts, and like my kiddo. Then there's people like my mom and Mario, nothing. Like they get bit and it's like they don't even itch, nothing happens to them. It's crazy. Like,
I hate that.
I know. I'm here like,
hate that.
I'm here like, and when my kiddo like, and they're just like, oh, it's a great afternoon. I'm like, fucking off. Like, God damn it.
I know.
But anyway, so yeah, mosquitoes suck. And so these diseases, we're going to talk about them, like we said, and they're spread through their bite. And they're really nasty little buggers because they land on you and you don't even feel it most of the time. Like,
I'm like, and I hate talking about mosquitoes because of how much I hate them.
Yeah.
But yeah, and sometimes those really big black ones that are just like what
and they even leave a black mancha on you.
Mancha on you.
Yeah.
And those are like the dumb ones. Yeah. They're just around you every single time. You try to waft them away and they're like, no, I want to bite you. And you're just like, ah. It's so bad. Whatever. Anyways. This is what I think about my mosquitoes. And you're just like, it's like una tortura china. You're just like, oh God, just how can I kill you? And I can't kill you. Every single time I like try, the wind blows you away or something. I have a whole thing.
And that's how we're like born and bred Miamians. Like,
mosquitoes is like a thing here,
it's part of our community at this point. We hate them, but they're part of our community. That's why
every time that like we see like hurricanes and stuff like that, I'm kind of happy. Yeah. Okay, I'm not happy for the hurricane,
but it blows them away.
Exactly. It's so much wind that we don't actually see the mosquitoes
and for a little bit.
And I'm great with it.
I know, it gives us a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
I hate them anyway, but yeah. So since we did talk about blood types not too long ago.
Yeah, I know.
I found this and he was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know. No wonders. I have my answers now. Basically, that type O bloods are, like more susceptible to mosquito bites.
There's a whole study on it. I will link on it if you're more curious on that. But yeah, if you're type O like me, there you go. They kind of seek you out a little bit more. And then they're also mosquitoes, they're attracted to the color black. And therefore, black clothing attracts them. So that's another study from biologists. There's an article. What is it? Experimental biology. That's the article. And then according to a journal from Chemical Senses from Oxford University Press, mosquitoes are attracted to carbon dioxide because they could smell it from 164 feet away from you. Yeah. And use scent to hunt.
Yeah, and I think like I definitely believe the whole entire scent thing.
Yeah.
Not too long ago.
164 feet. That's far, man.
So the other day I was doing my neighbor's nails because she she was just asking me to do her nails. And then I was like, okay, cool. And it was like a really nice day. And I was like, let's do them outside. Yeah. Anyways, some of us were in the pool and then I'm like, I'll do them outside with you. So whatever, we're just like talking. As soon as I opened the shine.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Really?
They were everywhere.
No way.
Everywhere. And at first we were like, oh, these mosquitoes.
Yeah.
And then like we really started noticing, we're like, what is going on? Where are they coming from? They like I don't know if there was some substance in the smell of the polish.
There must be some chemical in there, yeah.
I don't know, but they were swarming. Flies too. I don't know what the hell it was. And I literally told her, I was like, we can't do this inside.
Like, we gotta go, yeah.
It's gonna be like a mosquito's gonna just land and
so weird
melt into your nail polish.
I wonder what chemical it was because I get carbon dioxide because all mammals, everything that they're gonna suck the blood out releases carbon dioxide, so that's an evolutionary thing. Like that makes sense, but I wonder what freaking chemical was in there.
I don't know, but I like want to just dress the whole entire backyard like with lemongrass and all those natural mosquito repellents.
Yeah.
I want to grow 5 lemongrass trees or bushes, whatever they come from, wherever it comes from. I want to grow it, and I want to hang little lemongrass, just things, just everywhere,
just everything,
the
works.
I actually in Tampa, I had my cats and I didn't want to put like really harsh mosquito things because of my cat, because I wasn't there. I didn't know if they would eat it. So I ended up getting this like natural mosquito repellent that was like lemongrass.
Okay.
Dude, I went overboard because I hate mosquitoes.
No.
I sprayed it so much that I had to leave my apartment because I couldn't breathe. The fumes. And my neighbors from downstairs, they came outside and they're like, is someone cooking or with some spices? And I was downstairs and I was like, oh, why? And then they're like, it smells like something really zesty. And I was like, in my mind, I'm like,
you mean lemon? Maybe.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to go now. You could follow that scent to my apartment. 100%.
Oh my God.
100% you could follow that scent if you wanted to.
Jesus, you bet.
Right? And it didn't work. Like, it worked.
For a minute.
Yeah. So I had to die again in the fumes of lemon zest.
Oh my God.
Okay, anyways.
All right. So, and then a new study found that mosquitoes can find people to bite by smelling substances present on the human skin and in sweat, including lactic acid, uric acid, ammonia, etc.
So pee? Like what?
I guess so, according to...
If you pee yourself, shower, because the mosquitoes are going to come after you.
Fucking gross, yeah. Like, shower, please. Like, regardless. Yeah. Not even for the mosquitoes.
Forget the mosquitoes.
Forget the mosquitoes.
For us.
Fucking shower if you urinate yourself, for God's sake. Yeah, exactly. Gross. Anyway, a small study submitted by PubMed of 14 participants found that mosquitoes were observed to land on participants more frequently after consuming a small amount of beer. What? Well, I don't know. Is it worth it? I mean, it's only 14 people. Should we even trust this, really?
Oh, 14 people.
Yeah, it's only 14 people.
Nah. Yeah. I'm still going to have my
yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, I'm going to put this in here and let's see what she says about this study.
I'm still going to drink my beer. I need a higher number.
Yeah. It needs to be more, a bigger sample size.
Yeah, we need more power in the study.
All right. So then why do some people like me develop swelling and welts like we were talking about? And then apparently when mosquitoes bite, they inject some saliva and when drawing that blood. And then the saliva contains certain anticoagulants and proteins, triggering the immune system to respond to these foreign substances, i.e. me. Yeah. Our body responds by releasing histamine, a chemical released by white blood cells when your immune system is fighting allergens, which causes the itchiness, inflammation.
Exactly. So anytime you have a histamine reaction, we call that a histamine reaction. It can be pretty intense. Some people, it's hives. So they break out into hives. That's a histamine reaction. And then some people get like these massive welts, right?
Okay, yeah.
But if you're having a histamine reaction that's systemic, then you're going to have the hives and stuff like that. If you're having a local histamine reaction, then that's when you see something more localized, which is like what you're saying.
Okay.
And sometimes when patients come in and they have a histamine reaction, they're like, oh no, it's an infection. And I'm like, it's actually not an infection.
Right.
Which is good. Yeah. That's the good thing. It's actually a very strong local allergic reaction.
Okay.
And it can come with crazy, like I've seen impressive histamine reactions.
Yeah.
So taking up the whole leg.
Oof.
Sometimes if it's on the belly, it takes up like almost the whole entire side of one belly. Like the arm. We get it all the time with kids on the face that their eyes swell up. And it's like our job to figure out if this is an eye infection or if this is like a regular allergic reaction. Sometimes kids will have swelling all in their ear.
Oof.
So, and it can be red. Mm-hmm. It could be hard.
Okay.
And it could be warm.
It
could be warm, but that's all part of the histamine reaction.
Okay.
So anytime you have like those type of like, redness, heat and all that stuff, definitely go and just to make sure, get it checked by a doctor.
Yeah.
And all of that. But usually Benadryl and Zyrtec do the trick.
That's what I was going to ask you. Cause like I have like a little gel from Benadryl. Yeah. That's like that antihistamine gel. Yeah. And that really helps out MR. And even me, like if I get like a really big welt, then I mean most of the time it's just like smaller welts. Yeah. But on MR, immediately I'll put that on him and it helps out a lot.
Yeah. Like, so because it's an antihistamine. Yeah. So an antihistamine basically stops that histamine reaction.
Okay. Yeah. Well, now we're gonna jump into the diseases. Types. Yeah, different types. And like I said, we just picked like the very common ones, the ones that you've seen in the news, the ones you've heard about. Yeah. And we're gonna just give little bits and pieces about what they are. So first one up, Zika virus.
Zika virus.
I remember when that was all over the news several years ago.
I was a medical student when Zika virus
Mostly
came out.
you for well, back then, no. You were in med school, so you weren't doing...
Yeah, but I was a fourth year medical student, so I was already auditioning for my rotations for residency.
Oh, okay.
And I actually did an infectious disease rotation as a fourth year student, and it happened to be maybe just a little after the whole entire Zika virus thing.
It was big. I remember in Grenada, I mean, imagínate, Grenada, even worse. I mean, that's like Mosquito Central.
Yeah, the Caribbean islands were big for all of these mosquito-borne illnesses.
Big time. And correct me if I'm wrong, I know I have it somewhere here in the notes, but I have a shit ton of notes for this episode. Yeah. This is the one that was like really associated and like scary for little kiddos, right? For babies and whatnot.
Pregnant women, exactly.
There we go. Okay,
yes. Every pregnancy should, okay, how can I say it? Like, I don't want to like alarm anyone that's pregnant that has like fever and stuff like that. But if you are pregnant and if you are sick and you have like cold symptoms and stuff like that, Yeah, most of the time it's just going to be a cold. Nothing's going to happen.
Right.
But these type of viruses, like these kind of mosquito-borne illnesses, can sometimes cause congenital defects.
Okay.
So Zika virus was huge on that.
That's what I remember, yeah.
And it was really sad because, well, Zika virus, not only was it mosquito-borne, but it was also sexually transmitted, which was like a huge thing.
And that's so strange.
And everyone was like, what?
Yeah, because it's like, how do you
you
wouldn't, I would never have made that connection, like from a mosquito to you could also pass it through sex.
I know. So it was also sexually transmitted. So unfortunately, we saw the first wave of Zika, which was like the febrile illness.
Yeah.
Like you feel sick, the joint pains, malaise, all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And then...
which is easy to to confuse with a cold.
With a cold, flu, everything. Yeah. So, and then unfortunately, we started seeing congenital defects. And then the biggest one associated with Zika was microcephaly. So it's when babies are born with a smaller head and they're like small in the percentiles. But it does come with contractures. It does come with brain things with the nervous system, associated with the nervous system. So then they started seeing that these babies were born with microcephaly and all these things. And they started kind of... this is literally how medicine works.
Of course.
You start investigating, and then every single parent, we ask them like what they ate, what they did they get sick, and all these things.
Trying to figure out.
And then this is how we figured out that a lot of the moms that had babies with microcephaly can happen for a lot of different reasons. But most of these cases were associated with an infections that mom had that were mosquito-borne, and then that's how Zika... Wow. Yeah.
So what's the prognosis for microcephaly?
Well, microcephaly in general, you can have someone that's microcephalic and they're okay.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
They don't have any problems.
Okay.
But again, like microcephaly is just a sign.
Okay.
I don't want it like a sign or a symptom.
Okay.
You know? So you need to see where it's coming from.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like I have kids that are microcephalic and we did every sort of like evaluation and everything was okay.
Yeah.
Just they have a smaller head.
Okay.
Could it be something genetic? Probably.
Maybe. Yeah.
We just don't know. But they're normal and they go to school and they do everything. But we have like kids that are microcephalic because their brain did not develop. So if your brain doesn't grow, your head is not going to grow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So those type of prognoses it can really vary.
Yeah.
There are some kids that have profound neurological defects, and then there are kids that have mild neurological defects. So they have the microcephaly, they have some symptoms, maybe some contractures in their limbs, maybe some developmental delays, things like that. But then there are others that are pretty more severe. Like those are the ones that like need more attention, specialized care and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, and then at least by what I was reading, that was where the fear was coming from with this virus, at least getting to that like severe microcephaly and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, a little bit about the history where it came from and whatnot. It was first ID'd in Uganda in 1947 in the rhesus macaw.
The macaw. Yeah,
there you go. I hate monkeys, FYI. I really don't like monkeys. I don't know what it is about them.
You.
I hate monkeys, bro.
It's like I hate moths. I didn't know.
Exactly. Like no, but you have like a fear of moths.
I do, and birds.
Spiders for me are like moths to you. Okay, how you feel about birds is how I feel about monkeys.
Did I tell you about my bird attacks at
No.
Mount Sinai?
No.
A story for another day. But wait until you hear that shit. You're gonna die.
What the?
You're gonna laugh your ass off. But anyways.
But don't you have like parents
at home? No, my mom has birds. I don't touch them.
Oh my god.
When my mom goes out for vacation, they're lucky they get food from me.
The other day, like I noticed that, and I'm like, well, it was Nora's birthday, and I'm like,
but like, don't get me wrong, like I don't hate birds in the sense like if they're in a cage, fine.
You see, that's how I feel about monkeys.
But like you like feed the peacock in your neighborhood, I would never.
They're so pretty.
No. I mean, they're beautiful, but from a distance.
I have to show you the TikTok that I made the other day of the freaking bird.
No, I'm pretty sure I saw it. That you're like, what have I done to you? And it was like on your car or
something. I'm like, what have I done to deserve this? Why are you in my freaking car? I just fed you, asshole. Come on.
Did you name it? Did you name it
Chachi.
Gary? Oh, Chachi. I was like, Gary. Gary. Something. I don't know.
You made him like super white.
I don't know. But no, and they're beautiful, and I love peacocks. And actually, when I was younger, I used to play with parrots a lot.
Yeah.
Like my dad had an auto parts store that was next to a bird store.
Yeah.
So I was little and I was bored at the auto parts store, so I would always go.
That came from then.
I think it came from my older brother. My older brother would get attacked by birds and stuff, and I think he like passed down the fear. I'm pretty sure my younger brother also has like a fear of birds too. No, but now after my attacks from the birds from Mount Sinai, I don't want to see a bird near me. And I got like attacked. It hit my head.
You know, in Grenada, there was like a breeding season for crows.
Yeah,
and they would
even, that was a crow.
Yeah, they would even warn students. Like, it was a real thing, and we saw it. Like, it didn't happen to me or Mario, luckily, but we did see it in front of us. Like, especially, and they would tell women with long hair or whatever, they would put it up in buns, that they would go straight to it, and we saw it. It's not because they're like nesting or whatever. It's super weird.
Exactly. So you know what I had to do? I had to walk with an umbrella. And hold on a second, you'd think that would stop them? No. It would come and it would hit the umbrella and I would be like running to the hospital. I was like, like save me. But hold on a second, it got so bad. It got so bad that one of the other physicians was pregnant.
Oh no.
And a bird attacked her and she fell and went into early labor. And I like went to security and I was like, listen, I'm like, this is a problem. I'm like, y'all need to do whatever you need to do to get these birds. Yes, it was terrible.
Jesus. Well, okay, how you feel about birds is how I feel about macaws and monkeys and all that. I don't need to see them. I don't need to touch them. Like in Grenada, there was like this thing that you would go and, I don't know, like tour some like part of the rainforest or whatever. And some of the locals were like, yeah, look at this monkey. You want to take a photo with it? I'm like, get that shit away from me. Get that shit away from me. I'm not scared of them. I'm not scared of them at all. But I feel like they're way too close to us in the evolutionary ladder.
Yeah.
That doesn't make me feel comfortable. I'm not comfortable.
Julie's looking at the monkey like, I know you, bitch.
Yeah.
I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to take over the world.
Yeah. You have opposable thumbs. You do tools. No, you make tools, not you do tools. I can't. I don't like it. And then they look at you like they know.
I know.
Ugh. God, no. Ugh. Ugh. Fuck monkeys. Look, and this fucking monkey, it came from a fucking monkey anyway. From a rhesus macaw.
Yeah.
Is it macaw? Is it macaw? I feel like isn't there like a bird?
It's a macaw. It's a macaw. Okay. There's also a bird called the macaw, but
yeah, right. Oh, but it's spelled differently.
I think so.
That's it. Okay.
But no, the monkey is definitely a macaw.
Because I'm famous for mispronouncing shit, so that's why. Anyway. For the macaw monkey, followed by evidence of infection and diseases humans in other African countries in the 1950s. So that's where it came from, and it was from a while ago. Most people do not develop symptoms. If symptoms do occur, they start around 3 to 14 days after infection. Those that do have these symptoms, they generally have mild rash, fever, conjunctivitis, muscle and joint pain, malaise, headache that lasts for 2 to 7 days. So it sounds a lot like a flu. Yeah. Like it could ease it. And mostly when you wait that long for you to even develop this, it could even be 2 weeks after. The last thing you're thinking of is, I don't even remember 2 weeks ago, like if I was
sick.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And sometimes these infections can be pretty mild. Some of the moms that I talked to, they'd be like, yeah, I had a little bit of like, tired, but I thought it was just like a shoot. And literally, it was almost always the same story. It was like, I felt sick. I didn't even have any fever though, but I had some congestion, like body aches, headache, but it went away in like 2 to 3 days.
And then it ends up being like something that you actually had to worry about. It's crazy. Anyway, so what you were just saying, very dangerous during pregnancy, could cause infants to be born with microcephaly and other congenital malformations such as lip contractures, high muscle tone. So what does it mean, like high muscle tones?
Well, limb contractures is that I don't know if they're trying to like explain it like in a little bit different, but high muscle tone and limb contractures basically worries you for some neurological problems.
Okay.
Because your brain is what controls your muscle tone. Mm-hmm. So if you have anything going on in the brain, or I should say, if you see someone with muscle contractures and stuff like that, you should worry about something neurological.
Okay.
So it's the same way some people have strokes and they lose like a lot of the ability of half their side of their face or they're talking or something like that. Then that is muscle tone. So that's why we worry about something in the brain.
Understood. Okay.
So same thing goes for like little kids. Like you should always... kids should have tone and stuff like that. And then it should be a regular tone. It shouldn't be hypertonic and it should be hypotonic. So...
Okay. So then eye abnormalities and hearing loss, as well as fetal loss, stillbirth, preterm birth, and miscarriage.
Yeah, the stillbirth and the preterm birth was also a big thing with Zika.
Yeah, I remember that. I just remember in Grenada that it was really scary. People were really, like, pregnant people, because we had a lot of significant others that were pregnant and even locals that were pregnant, and everybody was
especially
really
like
scared.
in a Caribbean island.
Oh, yeah, really scared. And I mean, there's less resources to test too there, so it's like, it's hard.
And the testing really, like, even after when I was a student, like, after the wave of, like, Zika, where we were actively, there was research studies going on and stuff like that. Even the testing was really difficult. These kind of testing, like, we had to test the baby, we had to test mom, we had to see if there was a current infection or not. We had to send the results to, like, the Florida Department of Health. And it was just...
It's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot. And mostly for small Caribbean islands, it's rough. But anyway. So... also transmitted from mother to fetus, hence why the scariness of it, and pregnancy as well through sexual contact.
Yeah.
Blood transfusion, and possibly through organ transplantation.
Yeah.
So no treatment or vaccines are available, just supportive care. Avoid NSAIDs until dengue is ruled out. We're going to touch upon dengue and why that is, to avoid bleeding risk. And then in February 2016, WHO declared Zika-related microcephaly a public health emergency. That's when you were talking about, like, this whole big...
When was that?
2016.
Yeah, 2016. Exactly. And I graduated 2018. So that makes sense.
And it was basically because of the correlation with Zika virus and congenital malformations that it was pretty much confirmed. It was declared later, to end on that same year, but still, like, it was pretty devastating for those people.
It's really devastating. Yeah. It's something very, very sad. I always say it's like, and I know this is supposed to be like funny medicine, but anyways, it's like very, it's very emotional to know that you think that your pregnancy is like totally okay, and then all of a sudden it was something, and then there's a lot of guilt and everything. Of course. So I'm sure people are like, did I have to travel? Did I have to do that? Maybe if I would have gone. So,
of course. There's always going to be, and mostly being a mom, being a parent, you're riddled with guilt. But
but these are some things that I also used to, like, educate my patients and patients' moms and stuff. I'm not an OB-GYN, so I don't see a lot of pregnant people. But it should be something that you're like, hey, look, like, there's a lot of mosquito-borne illnesses. And, because a lot of people do the baby moon and all that stuff, and they go travel and stuff. And you should really be aware of the things that you're at risk for, especially if you're going somewhere that's not your local place.
Exactly. And so, and like we said, it does require lab confirmation for you to know that it really is Zika. Like, you can't, it's not like an oral thing or something very blatantly that you could just diagnose clinically, like through the eye or whatever. So that was Zika. And then now the one that's been popping up in the news, West Nile virus. This is a hefty one, because I mean, it's been around for a while and it does a lot. And But so a little bit about its history again. It was first isolated in the West Nile, hence the name, Uganda in 1937. West Nile virus can cause a fetal neurological disease in humans. So really scary and devastating too.
I know.
Approximately 80% of people who are infected will not show any symptoms. So it's fucking nuts.
I know.
Like, that's just crazy,
I know.
And especially for pregnant women.
You know?
And those 20% that they do experience some symptoms. They're usually fever, headaches, tiredness, body aches, nausea, vomiting, occasional with a skin rash, and swollen lymph nodes. Again, something that's very easily mistaken for a slew of other things. Like, that sounds like sometimes a cold that I get. My colds, a lot of the times, are just that.
I know. I know.
And approximately 1 to 150 people infected will develop more severe forms of the disease called neuroinvasive disease that includes headache, high fevers. So this is more...
The high fevers is like a big thing in, like, West Nile virus and stuff like that. Especially if you have prolonged fevers. This is when we kind of start digging into the...
What is it?
Yeah, like, how can I explain it? If someone comes in and they're having fever and stuff like that, like, we usually chalk it up to the most common things.
Yeah.
But if you're having fever, neurological symptoms and stuff like that, that's when we start diving in more into these mosquito-borne illnesses, which are also called, like, the arbor viruses.
Okay.
Which is basically, like, viruses that come from mosquitoes. Yeah. Definitely, like, these mosquito diseases cause a lot of neurological things.
Yeah, and it's just crazy to me, man. And it's like how 80% of the people won't even know.
I know.
That's just bonkers anyway. So yeah, like, weakness, paralysis, like serious illness can occur at any age. However, people older than 50 and immunocompromised are at highest risk, of course.
Yeah.
West Nile virus mainly transmitted to people through bites of infected mosquitoes. Mosquitoes become infected when they feed on infected birds. Yeah.
God damn these birds. These are birds. I hate them.
You're like, you see, I have a reason.
I have a reason to hate birds and mosquitoes. They should just be, I don't know if we should be done with birds, but we should be done with mosquitoes for sure.
Mosquitoes, yeah. I don't disagree with that.
Who told the mosquito to bite the bird?
I don't know. How?
Who told the mosquito to bite the bird? That's what I want to know. It's the fault of the mosquito.
100%.
If they weren't so nasty, blood-sucking...
Fucking disgusting.
Disgusting.
And how do you even bite a fucking bird? It has feathers on it. Like, how do you even, like...
I don't know. That's disgusting to me, too. That's disgusting. The feathers of a bird. That's disgusting to me. It's like holding a bunch of shit. Every time a bird ruffles its feathers, I want to die. I'm like, give me away. All the shit that just let into the air. I'm weird. No, literally every time a bird ruffles its feathers, I walk the other way.
I just have the image of a bird like going like they do, and you're like,
yeah. I'm like, get me out. It just released a ton of things into the environment because it releases a ton of crap. Birds do that because algo le molesta, so it's get it off of me, and then it comes on to me. Or at least that's what I think they do.
Oh my god, I'm here. So back to the mosquito biting the bird.
The infected bird, right.
Nasty
ass bird.
The virus eventually goes to the mosquito's salivary glands and infect a human when bitten. Transmitted through contact with other infected animals or blood or other tissue. Very small number of infections caused by organ transplants, blood transfusions, and breast milk. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, well, it's bodily fluid, so...
Yeah, we were just talking about breastfeeding. And then there is one reported case of transplacental mother-to-child West Nile virus transmission.
Transplacental. That's it.
You see? Don't listen to me, guys, when it comes to
I love
pronouncing some.
I'm going to make a list of all these things and just do a blooper of Julie's ways to pronounce. But the weirdest thing is that Julie has the best vocabulary.
It's just like...
Salacious?
It's in my head. But then it comes out bad. It's fine in my head. And then when I'm saying it out, there's a problem there. I need to talk to someone for that. But anyway. Incubation period, again, 3 to 14 days. I don't fucking know what I was doing 2 weeks ago. Like, how the hell am I going to remember a mosquito
Everything
bite?
has an incubation period, so...
Jeez. Anyway, and then to date, no human-to-human transmission through casual contact. Okay.
Casual.
Yeah, but that's like, when we say casual, that's like touching, right?
Yeah, I think that's what they're trying. Casual is just, you literally just see someone and you have some sort of transmission.
Okay.
And I'm guessing, I mean, there's nothing called casual contact. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's either direct contact, respiratory contact droplet. I don't know what they're trying to say, like casual contact like is maybe just not sexual or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's it. And this is from the WHO, FY. And then, can cause severe disease and death in horses, which is like a big money problem for a lot of people down in the South and whatnot. These thoroughbreds that cost like millions of dollars sometimes. It's like a big deal. Anyway, and then vaccines available for horses, but not yet for people. That's how important it is, man.
I know.
The horses have the vaccine for this.
I know.
We don't. Supportive care for people, even those with invasive West Nile virus, which often involves hospitalization, intravenous fluids, respiratory support, and prevention of secondary infections. And birds are the natural hosts of West Nile virus. And of course, once again, labs are needed to confirm diagnosis. Without that, you need the lab to like confirm.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of these labs, they're like panels.
Yeah.
So we basically send off testing. Honestly, a lot of the tests, in my experience, a lot of the testing that we do is usually from spinal fluid. So cerebral spinal fluid, which is the fluid that surrounds your brain and your spine and all of that. So, and we send it off for testing. But
and it's these specialized labs too.
They are. They're very, very, very special and they're very expensive. Yeah. And that's why it's not something that's readily tested. Yeah. It has to be like things that we've ruled out. A lot of other things that we're trying to find a cause to it. So then that's when we go ahead and do those types of tests.
Makes sense, yeah. I remember when back then, my mom was still working at that lab, and there was this big Zika virus, the outbreak back in 2016, and she was getting a lot because she was working like in a small specialized lab, and they had it, but it was like to get that okay to run it was pretty much the blood of a virgin. No pun intended.
It's true.
To get the okay from the insurance companies and whatnot to like, because it's so specialized. But anyway, all right. So next up, the Chica. What I got, chikungunya virus. So yeah, it was before Zika.
Yeah.
And it was, dude, it was
definitely before Zika.
Yeah, and it was bad. I mean, it wasn't as bad in the sense of like what you could get with pregnant, you know, if you were pregnant or whatever, at least that we know of. Like, I mean, but I got it and that was not fun.
No. So tell us about your experience.
Well, I got bit in some way, somehow one day, and all of a sudden I started getting like these really high fevers. And I'm the type of person that even if I have a bad like flu, cold, whatever, it's rare for me to get a fever. Like it's really, really rare. And I just started running these fevers that wouldn't go away. I'm like, man, this is weird.
How many days did you have fever?
A good week.
Yeah. So like, this is what I'm telling you. Like fever that like persists. These are the times where people start digging into
it wasn't
these
like,
kind of diseases.
It wasn't like 2 or 3 days. No. It was like a full week. And then oh my God, I was so tired. Like I could not get out of bed. And I just felt horrible. Like the whole malaise, extreme fatigue, horrible malaise, and my joints were killing me.
Which was a huge thing with chikungunya, the joint pain.
God, it felt like the closest thing that I was able to compare it to was like if you had a little, think of this, a ball of needles. Like a little tiny ball of needles that just went from like little joint to another joint to all over your body. And it would just sneak up. That's how I felt, because it was like pinching in between. It's such a horrible, it just sucked so bad. And I mean, but it's the weirdest thing because again, it's like not like a typical cold, because you don't have runny nose, you don't have coughing, you don't have any of that.
No.
But yet you're feeling like if you have
with chikungunya, which Julie also has, is the recurrent symptoms after.
Exactly. At that time, I got the rashes, and it was mostly like under my axilla. Yeah. And right now that I'm fighting off whatever my kid has, like whatever cold he has, every time I get a cold or I'm fighting off a cold, even if it's not bad, because look, right now I feel fine. Yeah. But my body is fighting something. I'm like coughing, as you guys probably heard me cough like 5 times already. Anything that I'm fighting off, cold-wise, virus-wise, I will get a little flare-up. So it's like these little pinches. And it's the typical viral, what is it called? There's like a word for the viral rashes, like viral.
Exanthem?
Like, that's it. Yeah. Because I know that Mario has said that before, and I can never remember that word. It's classic in the sense that sometimes it itches, but then if you touch it, it burns. And mind you, they don't even look like when I first got chikungunya, when I had it completely acute, it was like a bigger rash, like a way bigger, very prominent rash. Now it's more like little dots. Like maybe it's 2 or 3 of them, but they bother. Yeah. Like oh my God. They're the tiniest little things, but they bother so bad. Like anything.
And you get the joint pain again.
Yeah. So right before we started this episode.
It's really funny. We were just talking about this.
She was like, oh, how's your knee? Because what was it, Monday?
Yeah, like Monday.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it was Monday.
Okay. I was like, man, Evie, like we were talking. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like I woke up in the wrong side of the bed. Like I didn't do anything differently from my regular workout or anything. Everything's status quo. Nothing's changed. And my knee is killing me. I couldn't even stretch it out all the way. Like it was really bad. Like I hadn't had it that bad in years. And now we were talking about it, and she's like, yeah, because joint pain. And then like I was looking over the notes, and then all of a sudden I'm like, it's part of the freaking flare up. I have the rash right now. That's what it was. It wasn't anything that I did. It was a stupid, like,
It was the chikungunya.
It's back for revenge.
Can we give her a name? Huh? Can we give her a name?
Chica?
Chica? Yeah, Chica. Chica's back.
Yeah, it's fucking Chica.
Chica.
That's what
damn it, Chica.
Everybody in Grenada called it, oh, you got the Chica? Because that's how common it got in freaking Grenada.
Well, I mean, that was
oh my God.
There was like a lot of Thailand too. Thailand was a big place too. Not just the Caribbean, I think.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it. It came from Africa, Asia.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were like all these sporadic things, but yeah, there was really common.
And a lot of people, we talked about like the different, because a lot of the mosquito illnesses, mosquito viruses cause a lot of the same symptoms. So it's like the fever for lots of days.
Yeah, we just saw it.
Yeah, the rash, the joint pain and stuff like that. So it was like, I remember every time we would have a patient we had a patient in residency. It was part of a case presentation that we did, but it was like fevers, ongoing fevers, joint pains, rash. She ended up having chikungunya, but we had to work her up for dengue, for Zika, for all these things because
they're all almost the same symptoms. It's crazy.
It's insane. Yeah.
But yeah, so literally exactly what you were saying. It's easy to diagnose dengue and Zika with chikungunya. So it causes, like I said, I was explaining and how this is awful. 10 out of 10 do not recommend. Causes fever and severe joint pain. I really did have it. And I'm still struggling. 10 years later, 9 or 10 years later, I'm still like getting the flare-ups from it.
Have you ever thought of who diagnosed you? I'm just interested.
It was there like in their... So, okay. I was never classically diagnosed from it. Yeah. But I was doing research with the School of Medicine and whatnot. Yeah. And then I was out for the count for a while, like maybe 2 weeks worth. I was out for the count. Like I couldn't collect samples or none of that. So then, because I was doing 2 researches at the time, I was doing the health economics paper, article, whatever, for pancreatic cancer. And then I was doing the other one on marine biology. So the marine biology was more hands-on. I had to go into the water, collect plastic samples, put them in the test tubes, whatever, like all that buffer enzymes, all that crap. So anyway, I was out for the count. I couldn't. I needed somebody to go ahead and do it on the days that I couldn't for those 2 weeks. And the professor that I was working under for that one, for the marine biology, she's like, oh, I have a really good friend of mine and he's a professor. He works at the lab here in school. Mm-hmm. Let's talk to him. Maybe he could get you in for that. So I explained to him everything. He took blood sample of mine because I did a routine blood sample at their clinic. Okay. And then he's like, do you mind if I collect from that blood sample for the routine, like collect it to test for it? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead and whatever. So it came out that he... Since I was part of a research study and like since I was part of that research study, like my name wasn't involved or anything like that. He's like, look, like I'll let you know like in the download because I was like patient A, whatever, you know. Yeah. He's like, you know, I need to just put you with the demographics, but I can't say that it's you per se, you know, whatever for HIPAA and whatnot and all this bunch of stuff. But it came to be that that chica.
Oh my God.
So it was all of that. I had to go through all those hoops because again, super specialized freaking stuff. So he had to send it out. Like those those blood samples did not stay in Grenada.
No.
Like,
those are usually ones that are sent out labs.
Yeah. So that's how it was. And it's all these things like the muscle pain, the headaches. I had really bad headaches. Like the headaches were blinding bad. It was awful. Nausea, fatigue, the rash, the disease onset 4 to 8 days after the bite. I'm sure it was. I can't even tell you because, of course, we're living in Grenada. God only freaking knows.
Yeah.
The joint pain, if it's often debilitating, I'm telling you that it was extremely painful. It usually lasts for a few days, but maybe prolonged, lasting weeks, months, or even years. Luckily, mine only comes and goes as like viral flare up. No vaccine or treatment. It's just like supportive care, as you know. And then I did see this like So what is paracetamol?
Paracetamol is the like European acetaminophen.
Oh, okay. There we go. Okay, because I was like, what the heck is that? Anyway,
I don't want to say European, but outside of the U.S., they use paracetamol a lot.
Okay, yeah, because I know that I had to take only acetaminophen because until I got ruled out for a dengue because of course the NSAIDs and whatnot. We're getting to dengue soon. Mm-hmm. And then it's underestimated the number of infected, obviously because of how hard it is to rule out with the labs and whatnot. Severe symptoms and death are rare and usually relating to something else. It is an RNA virus, so it's like weird in that aspect.
Yeah.
First ID'd in the United Republic of Tanzania, in 1952, and
It's Tanzania?
Tanzania.
I've definitely been saying Tanzania before.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, well, okay. I'm sorry.
No.
I learned.
How many things have I said wrong, like, on the daily? Come on. It can ingest the virus and then replicates in the mosquito in several days, gets into the salivary glands, can be transmitted to a new human host.
Those fucking salivary glands.
Yeah, that's exactly
Can we genetically modify to zap the salivary glands of mosquitoes?
Yeah, I know.
Is there something that we can feed them?
It would be amazing. Destroys them? It would be amazing. Then once bitten, the virus begins to replicate in the newly infected hosts and reaches high concentrations in the blood. At this point, they can further infect other mosquitoes and the cycle goes on. And yeah, like we said, detected through blood samples.
I'm just thinking right now. I don't know. This is definitely off topic. I just thought about it. Mosquito repellent. Mm-hmm. Is there something that could kill instead of repel?
But then you run the risk of it affecting you in that sense.
No, I don't have to wear it. What if I just set something off into the corner of the house that attracts? Okay.
I think there is, but like,
is that what's the TNT?
I don't know.
There's like a new mosquito thing called the TNT, and it literally zaps them.
Oh, okay.
They attract them to a box. I don't know. Okay. Well,
we'll look into that.
Yeah. Dengue fever. This one's terrible.
So this is bad. This is what everybody fears, and that's why, like, whenever you have these symptoms, or don't take NSAID because we need to see if it is dengue or not. Yeah. So there were a lot of these in Grenada, and I actually had a neighbor that he had the hemorrhagic form.
The hemorrhagic. Well, that's the dengue. That's like the most severe form of dengue, which is hemorrhagic dengue.
Yeah. So, well, they also call it break bone fever. That's how horrible it is.
This is like very this is like something that's like, at least in my parents, they say that in Cuba is like very, very, very common. Dengue is very common. And they literally say that it feels like you got run over by a bus.
Awful. That's awful. Oh my God.
I can't imagine. And break bone fever, like breaking a bone pain. Yeah. I've never had dengue, so I don't know what it feels like, but I've taken care of patients that have gone through it. Yeah. And I worked with people that know people that have had dengue, and it never fails. Like, they say that it's awful.
Yep. That's everything that I've heard is exactly the same, that it's really, really bad. But anyway, viral infection transmitted through infected mosquito bite, as all of these. About half of the world's population is now at risk with dengue, with an estimated 100 to 400 million infections during each year.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Mostly when you're talking about only a centralized region, that's a lot of people.
It is a lot of people.
We're only these regions. I mean, these mosquitoes are not going to be in freaking Russia or something like that. You know, it's going to be mostly Caribbean. Yeah. You know,
high humidity.
Yeah, high humidity areas. All that. So anyway, found in tropical, like literally, we're just saying, tropical and subtropical climates worldwide, mostly urban and semi-urban areas. Many are asymptomatic at first or produce only mild illnesses. Dengue can occasionally cause more severe cases, even death. Symptoms include high fever of 104, for example. Yeah. Severe headache, pain behind the eyes. Oh, I hate it when I get a migraine that hurts like that.
Yeah.
Those migraines are the worst.
Sometimes you can have what's called a myositis, which is basically inflammation of the muscle. And it can happen in any muscle. And our eyes have muscles, right? So sometimes you can even have something like this where a virus like kind of infiltrates that muscle, and then you can have that pain. So I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Oh my God. Anyway, swollen glands, body aches, nausea, vomiting, rash. Most will get better in about a week or two. People are infected for the second time are at higher risk for severe dengue. And then severe dengue needs hospitalization and can be fatal. Yeah. Severe dengue symptoms include severe abdominal pain, persistent vomiting, rapid breathing, bleeding, gums, or nose. Fatigue, restlessness, blood and vomit or stool, being very thirsty, pale, cold skin, feeling weak. If symptoms occur, they usually begin 4 to 10 days after infection and last for 2 to 7 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds
awful. You're dehydrated, you're in pain, you're
bleeding,
you're fevering, you have hemorrhagic dengue, which is you're bleeding from everywhere.
Oh my God.
And it's awful. It truly is. It's terrible.
No treatment, only supportive care with pain medicine. Early detection and access to proper medical care greatly lowers fatality rates for severe dengue. Avoid NSAIDs because of the bleeding. Yep. Vaccine available called Dengvaxia for people who have had dengue at least once and live in places where it is common. So it's not available for just dengue. It's only available if you've had dengue before. Had it,
yeah, exactly.
Okay. And then incidence has grown dramatically worldwide. A majority of cases are asymptomatic or self-managed, therefore underrecorded. One modeling estimate indicates 390 million dengue virus infections per year, of which 96 million manifest clinically. Another study estimates that 3.9 billion people are at risk, spreading to new areas such as Europe with explosive outbreaks occurring. First time recorded in France and Croatia in 2010. So it's like you're saying, these viruses are going everywhere.
Everywhere.
Like, it's crazy. And then the next one that we're seeing in the news.
Yep, another one that's
really scary.
Yeah, which the other day I was seeing some people, there was a conversation about like malaria, and they're like, oh, but I haven't traveled and stuff like that. No. Guess what? You don't need to travel anymore. Malaria can come to you if there's a lot of high turnover in traveling.
Yep.
Especially, look, I'm just going to say it. Everyone comes to Florida.
Yeah. Yeah.
Florida's a huge like touristy spot.
And not even something that people don't think about. Our airport is a huge international airport.
It's a huge hub.
So a lot of people do layovers.
Yes. And not only that, but it's like you combine people coming in because they're international and it's a huge hub. Then people are coming in, getting bitten by these mosquitoes, right? So it's like the transmission of disease. So those people probably left.
Yeah.
They went somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay. But the mosquitoes didn't.
Right.
Right? They didn't hop on the airplane with them.
Exactly.
So, and then they go and like they infect. But yes, there's actually is a huge outbreak of malaria going on. And it was in Central Florida-ish, like West Coast Florida.
Right.
So Sanibel.
Yeah.
All those places, which is huge. Those are huge places where people go on vacation in Florida.
We do. Almost
That's what I'm saying.
year,
Like Floridians, like we go to the West Coast because it's like nicer beaches.
Next week we're going to the West Coast shit.
Wait, where are you going?
To Naples.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You keep telling me. And I keep forgetting. And I keep forgetting.
And you're going.
And I'm going. Lord.
So anyway, malaria. Not cool. That's a poor choice of words. But the weird thing about malaria, like uncommon from other ones, I guess it's a parasite, unlike the other ones that are viral.
Yeah, it is. Exactly. So that's like the cool thing about it. But yeah, so basically the mosquitoes carry the parasite. The same way the mosquitoes carry the virus, they carry the parasite.
It's scarier that it's a parasite versus a
I
virus.
hate anything that's parasitic.
I know.
Because a parasitic infection is you don't benefit anything.
No, yeah.
They benefit off of you. Yeah. And they probably kill you in the process.
Yeah. Yeah. They're just, I feel like they're smarter than viruses. So they're just like, I'm not cool with that. I'm not cool with that. Oh, and wait for a mini episode coming up on a parasite situation.
Yes.
We're going to be doing that sometime soon. Anyway. Yeah. So interesting that it's a parasite, but it's a mosquito-borne disease.
Yeah.
Even though it's a parasite. In 2021, nearly half of the world's population was at risk of malaria. That is huge.
Yeah.
Nearly half of the world in 2021. Anyway, that year, there were an estimated 247 million cases of malaria worldwide.
Wow.
The estimated number of malaria deaths stood at 619,000 in 2021. The WHO African region carries a disproportionately high share of the global malaria burden. In 2021, the region was home to 95% of malaria cases and 96% of malaria deaths. Children under 5 accounted for about 80% of all malaria deaths in the region. That's horrible.
I know.
Symptoms usually start with 10 to 15 days of getting bitten by an infected mosquito. Symptoms may be mild for some people, especially for those who have had malaria infection before. Severe symptoms include extreme tiredness and fatigue, impaired consciousness. So it like messes with your brain and your cognitive function too.
Yeah, definitely.
Multiple convulsions, difficulty breathing, dark and bloody urine, jaundice, which is the yellowing
jaundice is the huge thing because since it's like in the red blood cells, it can affect them. They release bilirubin and all of that. Yeah.
Oof. And then abnormal bleeding, as you were just talking about that. People with severe symptoms should get emergency care right away. Malaria infection during pregnancy can also cause premature delivery or delivery of a baby with low birth weight. Preventative chemotherapy is the use of medicines either alone or in combination to prevent malaria infections and their consequences. I have a family member that she's on
Atovaquone?
No, but it's another anti-malarial drug, and it's for a weird
there's a lot of malaria drugs, but sometimes people take it just to prophylax for when they're traveling outside.
Well, she takes it and it straight up makes her feel awful, but she has to titrate it and whatnot. And it's for this abnormality that she has on really, really high platelets. So it controls her high platelet count.
Oh.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's an anti-malarial drug. And well, anyway. Since October 2021, WHO recommends broad use of the malaria vaccine among children living in the region with moderate to high malaria transmission, shown to significantly reduce malaria and deadly severe malaria among children.
So this is like
Yeah.
But the good thing about malaria is that we do have, like, it is treatable.
Yeah.
Right? Like, instead of the supportive care, I think that was, like, the biggest difference with the viruses. It's a lot of supportive care. But with malaria, like, we do have, like, medicines for it, which is why people that usually travel outside, they usually ask for prophylaxis, which is treating you before you even get the infection so it's prevented.
Yeah.
So there's, a lot of these are like the quinins, the primaquine, and the chloroquine, and all these things. Atovaquone is a really big one too. The other thing that I was going to say about malaria, which is very interesting, and it's just like a fun fact, is that they actually think that sickle cell disease is an evolutionary response to malaria.
That's so cool.
That's a theory. It's a theory. I'm not saying it's a proven thing.
Yeah.
But it is a theory because malaria infects red blood cells, right? So when you have sickle cell disease, the red blood cells sickle, right? And the malaria cannot live inside of that sickled cell.
So when you're saying sickle, that means that it's like a different shape.
It is a different shape. It's a sickle shape. So it literally looks like a half moon.
Instead of the normal donut, like looking almost
like a donut looking. Yeah. Exactly. So it's sickles, right?
Right.
So there is a theory that sickle cell was like an adaptation to malaria. And then now it's genetic, right? Like, I mean, or how can I say this? It is a genetic disease. We tested in the newborn metabolic screenings and stuff like that. But there is an ongoing theory that they think that malaria, because of all the infections with malaria, that people developed this sickle cell or whatever to protect them from malaria.
That is so cool. Okay. Yeah. So that's malaria. And you got to watch out for it because now here in Florida, we're seeing.
Yes, we are. And there's actually a CDC health advisory.
We will post it. It's just happened like a couple of days from now recording them. Right now, it's September 4th, 2023. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so quickly going through these. Chagas. Don't you just love Chagas?
Chagas is another parasite, and I hate it. I think it's disgusting. It causes a lot of things, like dilation of everything, dilation of the heart, dilation of the colon, dilation of a lot of things. Yeah. And it's disgusting because it's not just a mosquito. Mm-hmm. Like, it's the mosquito that infects the reduvid bug. Mm-hmm. Right? It's called the reduvid bug. I'm pretty sure it's called the reduvid bug.
Right here.
Vector borne. I'm pretty sure that's the reduvid bug.
Okay.
But anyways, the reduvid bug, and then it's called the kissing disease. Because the reduvid bug actually goes and like injects the parasite. Like it bites you and it injects the parasite. And then you got Chagas.
Gross.
Trypanosome.
Gross.
Jejuni or something like that. Trypanosome.
Yeah.
Trypanosome
cruzi.
Yeah, Trypanosoma cruzi. Yep.
That's the name of the parasite.
Not jejuni. Jejuni is your gut. Cruzi.
But it's been around since 1909 by a Brazilian doctor. Like, it's crazy. It's one of the older ones.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
Identified.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's transmitted by consumption of food, beverages, contaminated with this parasite. For example, contact with feces, urine, anything that these bugs are in contact with. Passage of infected mother to her newborn can happen. Blood or blood product transfusion and infected donors. Also organ transplants, because of course, or laboratory accidents, which tends to happen. There's 2 phases of it. The initial acute phase lasts for about 2 months after infection. During the acute phase, a high number of parasites circulate the blood. Oh, that sounds so disgusting to me.
Yep.
A high number of parasites circulate the blood, but most case symptoms are absent or mild. That is bonkers. How the hell are you having like parasites all over your body and you don't feel anything?
Yep. Because they're living inside you.
Ugh.
They are benefiting from you.
Ugh. In less than 50% of people bitten by them.
I just had a thing.
If you're watching this on Patreon, you'll see us like just like I don't know, like we're both like shake. Just Ugh. Anyway, in less than 50% of people bitten by that bug. I'm not gonna try pronouncing it.
I'm pretty sure it's called the reduvid bug.
Yeah, that's probably like the more common. Like I have here, like from the CDC is like or HO's name. But anyway, characteristic first visible signs can be skin lesions or a purplish swelling on the lids of one eye. Additionally, they can present fever, headache, enlarged lymph nodes, all of those other things that we've mentioned, chest pain, abdominal pain. Mm-hmm. During the chronic phase, the parasites are hidden mainly in the heart and digestive muscles.
Yep, that's what I was saying. They cause like enlargement of the heart. They cause, dilated cardiomyopathies, dilated colon.
This is crazy. 1 to 3 decades later.
Yep.
So up to 30 years later, up to a third of patients suffer from cardiac disorders, and up to 1 to 10 suffer from digestive, typically enlargement of esophagus or colon, neurological or mixed alterations. In later years, the infection in those patients can cause a destruction of the nervous system and heart muscle, consequent cardiac arrhythmias, or progressive heart failure and sudden death.
Yep.
30 years later.
Yep.
You're living with that freaking parasites in you for 30 years. Get me out of that.
Get me out of that mental space. It's terrible.
No. Oh, God, I'm all clammy now.
That's why I hate parasites.
Curable if treatment is initiated soon after infection in chronic patients. Antiparasitic treatment can potentially prevent or curb disease progression and prevent transmission, or, for instance, mother-to-child infection. Up to a third of chronically infected people develop cardiac alterations, and 1 in 10 develop digestion, all that. So you gotta just, and in Latin America, apparently it's like very common, it got discovered by a Brazilian doctor in 1909. So pretty much vector control, like cover everything, like water, stagnant water, where like.
If I saw a mosquito, I would die. If I saw a Reduvid bug on me, I would freaking throw up right on the spot. And if you see the Reduvid bug, it's like very typical.
Yeah, I included it here because it kind of still works like a mosquito, and where it like bites you. Like
I hate it.
The same thing. It's like the same type of like vector.
But it has like it has a diamond shape on it, or I think it does. I don't know. I know that the Reduvid bug is very. I'll post it. It is very typical of Chagas.
Look at it in our Instagram. You'll see a picture of it. I'll put it there. Now, three E's, Eastern Equine Encephalitis virus. It affects people.
It's pretty popular too.
Yeah, it's spread to people by
But this is like the word encephalitis. Like this virus usually causes altered mental status, inflammation.
It's scary.
Yeah.
So encephalitis is like inflammation of your brain.
So encephalitis, it is. It's like inflammation of the brain. Exactly. So
in layman's terms, I get.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the easiest way.
And that's why, like, breaking it down Barney style, it's that. Yeah, I know it's more like the tissue, like the whatever, but like
exactly. We could talk about like the difference in tissues and stuff like that. But yes, it is inflammation in the brain.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So it's spread by people to people because of these stupid mosquitoes. They bite into each other and their grossness. Only a few cases are reported in the U.S. each year. Most cases are in the eastern or Gulf Coast states, so we got to be careful with that. Mm-hmm. Although rare, EEE is very serious. Approximately 30% of people with EEE die, and many survivors are ongoing neurologic problems. Yeah. There are no vaccines to prevent or medicines to treat EEE. You can reduce your risk of infection with EEE by, again, repellent, all the vector control situations. Healthcare providers diagnose EEE based on history, like where you traveled, all that history of possible exposure, and then of course lab testing. Yeah. Your healthcare provider can order tests. Go ahead and
it's gonna be something. Yeah, when you don't just like walk into a clinic and you're like, I think I have encephalitis. You know what I mean? Like, you have encephalitis. You're at the hospital. You're getting worked up, and it's like usually like $1 million workup because we need to rule out so many things before we say this was just a mosquito that bit you and inflamed your brain. You know? Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty much supportive care, rest, fluids, over-the-counter pain meds.
Yes.
And then for severe, cases, they have to be hospitalized, intravenous fluids, all those things. Okay. Then the St. Louis encephalitis. Yeah. I hadn't heard of this one.
Yeah, it's also popular, but it's also another form of encephalitis. It's like a virus that causes encephalitis.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
So and the same thing. It's worn.
Nausea,
vomiting. So it's just a different type of virus, but causes a similar symptoms.
Exactly. And that's what I'm seeing here is also like meningitis. So
yeah. So encephalitis is like inflammation of like the brain tissue, and then meningitis is inflammation of the meninges. So it's like one of the layers of the nerves and all that. Yeah.
And then in rare cases, it causes long-term disability or death because of that. What you were just saying, like how it affects your nervous system, in that sense. And so the same type of symptoms. That's why all of these are hard to diagnose. So dizziness, nausea, all those things.
Which all of those are brain symptoms or neuro symptoms.
Yeah. They typically get worse over a period of several days or weeks. Some patients recover after this period. Others develop signs of central nervous system infections, including infection of the brain, which is encephalitis, membranes around the brain or spinal cord, meningitis. Coma can even develop in severe cases. And among patients diagnosed with SLE, 5 to 20% die. The risk of dying increases with age. So no vaccines either, no medicines, just supportive care as well. And of course, vector control.
So what is the lesson learned today?
Yeah.
All mosquitoes should die.
All of them should die.
All of them should die. And if that doesn't happen, then y'all better be wearing your mosquito repellent.
Absolutely. Is yellow fever like a more common one or no?
Yeah, yellow fever is more common.
Okay, because that's the last one I have here.
Yeah, yellow fever. And we have a vaccine for yellow fever.
Oh, okay.
It's not given in the U.S. because it's not that common, but there is a vaccine for it.
Okay, so yeah, the very last one, guys, at least of the common ones that we're naming here, which as you could tell, it's a long one because, there's so many.
Yeah, there's so many, and this is just the common ones.
Yeah, and I'm like running through them at this point. Yellow fever virus, and it's transmitted by mosquitoes. As of 2023, 34 countries in Africa and 13 countries in Central and South America are either endemic for or have regions that are endemic for yellow fever. Yellow fever is prevented by a vaccine, which is safe and affordable. A single dose of yellow fever vaccine is sufficient to grant lifelong protection. A modeling study based on African data sources estimates that the burden of yellow fever during 2013 was 84,000 to 170,000 severe cases, and so on. Incubation period for yellow fever is 3 to 6 days. Many people do not experience symptoms. Common symptoms include fever, muscle, all of the same symptoms. All the same things that we've been saying. Most of these disappear 3 to 4 days. A small percentage of patients enter a second, more toxic phase within 24 hours of recovering from initial symptoms. High fever returns and several body systems are affected, usually the liver and the kidneys. In this phase, people are likely to develop jaundice. As we said earlier, the yellowing of the skin, the eyes, dark urine, and abdominal pain and vomiting. Bleeding can occur from the mouth, nose, eyes, or stomach. Half of the patients who enter the toxic phase die within 7 to 10 days. Hence why the vaccine is important, because this is pretty bad.
Yeah, and if it just doesn't, like, you can get the vaccine here. Yeah. But so if you're traveling to somewhere where yellow fever is very high, you can get a vaccine. Okay.
And then there's no specific antiviral drug for yellow fever. Patients should rest, stay hydrated, and seek medical advice. And PCR testing is a type of blood test. Sometimes can detect the virus in early stages of the disease, so that could help you out with the prognosis. So that was mosquito-borne illnesses. Holy shite.
I told you it was a long one.
It is a long one. We could have made it a 2-parter, but we're like, no, let's just, we don't necessarily have time. We have like busy lives, so we're like, yeah. But this was, I mean, we just kept on seeing it coming up, and we're like, it's a good one to touch upon.
Yeah, and also I think it's good just because a lot of the mosquito-borne illnesses have a lot of very similar symptoms. Yeah. So it's like good things to watch out for, and there are ones that are more common than others. Yeah. It's good information.
Yeah, and a lot of people forget, since we're in such a big city, a lot of people forget that is even a thing, but it is a thing.
Yes, it is.
The West Nile virus is a thing here, So just because we live in Miami doesn't mean that you're immune from it. It's very much a thing. Put on some mosquito repellent. Get those citronella candles out.
Yeah, get like me, like lemongrass. All just dying your fumes. Yeah,
I sponsor us.
I'm pretty sure you could smell it from outside of my apartment, like from outside, as in outside the building.
Your neighbors.
No, my neighbors literally came out and they're like, "Oh, is there like we just smell something. It's not bad." And they're like, "We just smell," and I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
You're like, I don't know. I don't smell anything.
I don't smell anything.
But anyways, all right, guys, check us out on all the socials, Instagram, TikTok, whatnot, on the Wisdom app as well, on Reddit as well. We're on
Reddit.
Yes. Facebook. Also, check us out on Patreon. Yeah. These episodes that you hear on audio on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, et cetera, and all streaming platforms, only on audio, you could see us shaking it out with these parasites that we were talking about on Patreon. And they're a little bit longer because I cut out and I edit out a lot less in the video formats versus the audio ones. So check that out. And then in Patreon, we have Patreon exclusive episodes as well that only come out in Patreon, and they're also video. So, and those are saucier.
Yeah.
Salacious.
Those are definitely saucier, salacious. All the zesty words.
Those things.
And our Patreons come out on Fridays. Yes. Podcasts come out on Tuesdays. Patreons come out on Fridays.
Exactly. So check us out there. Thank you all for the support. Keep it up. We love doing this, and we love talking to you all. Comment, like, subscribe, do all the things. And we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye.
Beautiful.
Like, comment, review us on all streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, etc.
Check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Funny Medicine Podcast. Our Gmail is at funnymedicine305@gmail.com. And remember, we are not diagnosing you.
Definitely not. Just funny stuff.
See you later, guys.